guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, or I go by AlwaysMoreSims here on YouTube, and today we are doing my last day of my week of WoW for the Sims 4 Lovestruck quote-unquote expansion pack. So on day 5 is normally the day that I will wrap up all of my thoughts and opinions, kind of do a very, I try to keep it quick, a quick recap of what each day kind of entailed, the different features that we played with, and my thoughts on them, and then at the end if I think this pack is worth it or not. So just starting off on day 1, we took a look at the Create a Sim. There was quite a few cute items. I felt like the cast was pretty decent. Unfortunately, it is a lot of stuff that I'd probably end up scrolling past rather than using on a regular basis with my Sims. Now, there were a couple hairstyles that I liked. Like, I thought the buns were cute. The long, kind of wavy hairstyle. Unfortunately, I'm not one for the shorter pixie cuts, which is something that I did mention on... I forgot I was gonna have... I'm gonna have everything playing. Let it be. Or let it be. Play. Game. It is playing. Oh, okay. Say I'm not seeing anything. Now we're moving. Okay, sorry. Little detour. Anyways, unfortunately I'm not really, I don't use pixie cuts. I just don't. Like, they're not a hairstyle or haircut I tend to use with my Sims. So I don't really care much for the pixie cuts or for the hairstyle, like the clip in the back, just because the amount of hair that like hangs in front. I'm like, I have layered hair, I know how it is, but like to have that much hair hanging, and it just like to me just looks kind of awkward. And then we have quite a few clothing items in the feminine category that personally I feel like were made for masculine Sims, and then the Sims team just went, sure, we can put those in the feminine Sims category too, because they just fit really odd. Like, they get lumpy around the middle, which is what I've noticed tends to happen when I put a masculine shirt on a feminine framed Sim. Like, it just kind of frumps weird, and then like I felt like a bunch of the pants kind of had awkward heights or like rises, or however you want to say it. The Sims has done a lot of high-waisted stuff, and I don't wear thank you. And that made it louder. I don't wear high-waisted stuff. I find high-waisted stuff very uncomfortable, to sit in, so I don't like wearing high-waisted things, but I do end up putting my Sims into high-waisted things quite often, because that's a lot of what we have in The Sims is, bless you, a lot of stuff that, like, shirts that go with high-waisted pants. We have a lot of high-waisted pants. Like, I guess got used to it, and now that we've been given a lot of, like, mid-rise stuff, I don't know if it's just me that feels like it looks kind of awkward. It doesn't look right. So then, and I talked about this on day 1, I fully, completely understand that this pack is not kid-oriented in the slightest. This pack actually really toes the line of being rated T for teens. There's a bunch of sexual innuendo in it. There's quite a few, kind of inappropriate references, and stuff like that, which actually brings up another point that I'll come back to if I remember to here in just a second. So, like, fully understand that this is not a kids pack. However, one of the biggest complaints with The Sims 4 is that there isn't enough content for child Sims, and to give us another pack with literally nothing except a couple of hairstyles for the kids doesn't really help. If you're not going to give us gameplay, at least give us some cute, like, clothing options. I could always use more infant, toddler, children clothes, hairstyles, all of that. I understand that the content in this game, or in this pack, is not for kids. I get that. But, again, it's a common critique that there's not enough kid stuff in the game, and for there to only be a handful of hairs, I found actually really disappointing. Okay, coming back to what I wanted to say. Almost like half of the amount of cast items we got were costumes. That in and of itself really bothers me because like I don't care about the costumes to be like I'm not gonna have my Sims role playing or dressing up or whatever, but I kind of wish that any time, and this goes across like all of the packs, anytime that we have Sims that or we have the opportunity for costumes, I wish that it was something that you could only access through certain items. Like take The Sims 3 for example. When Generations introduced the costume chest, you could only dress up as a princess or I don't care. You could only dress up as, that's too far, as a princess or a dinosaur or an astronaut or whatever, I think. Now I'm doubting myself. I think you could only dress up as these things when you interacted with the costume chest, or like with seasons for Spooky Day. You could only dress up in those outfits for Spooky Day by like clicking on your sim and, you know, change into costume or whatever. I really wish that that is how any kind of dress up worked in this game, that it was either like tied to an object, like because the costumes come with this chest, so I feel like they should be locked only to the chest. You could only access them going through the chest, because it took up like half of the cast items going straight towards these costumes that have now just further clogged up my cast, because now I have all of these costumes that, one, I don't intend on using for everyday purposes, two, I don't really want, and three, you can get to them you can get to them using this costume chest, so just leave them tied to the costume chest. I don't want them clogging up my cast. So yeah. I do like the 2 new traits. I haven't played a whole lot with the romantically reserved, but I have seen like clips of gameplay using the romantically reserved trait, and I'm down for it. I'm sure. I don't really see much of a point or like advantage to using the love bug trait, which is what my sim Amora had, other than it making her like flirty. Like, oh, she went to bed. I didn't really see a whole lot to it, but I'm not going to turn down traits. The aspirations are just kind of walkthroughs of how to use stuff in the game, and that's basically all aspirations are anymore, is just kind of mini tutorials. But anyways, so if you were to ask me would I recommend this pack to you based solely on cast, I would tell you no. Again, there's some cute items in it, but a lot of the stuff is stuff I will probably end up scrolling past. I can't see myself going out of my way to find these clothing items. Maybe I will, like, oh, here comes Vlad. Maybe I will, like, right here at the beginning when I'm like, oh, well, it'd be a good time to use this pack and, like, kind of experiment with it. But after, like, the newness wears off, I'm never gonna go searching for most of the items in this pack. I just won't. And it is kind of, it's up to your taste. Like, if this is the kind of stuff that you like, this is the kind of clothes that you wear, or, like, this is your style, like, go for it. It's not for me, though. Not for me. It's whatever. So then we move on to day 2, and day 2 covered the build buy items and the world. So let's start with build buy. I feel like when there's expansion packs, and like, Moose, leave your foot alone. I just don't want him making it sore. Sorry. Okay. With an expansion pack, I feel like we should have at least one of everything to build just kind of a basic home. So like a basic kitchen set, like whether that's just like a sink, a counter, a stove and a fridge, a toilet, a shower, a bed, a couple places to sit. Like, I think that, like, I don't really build a whole lot, so like in the long run it doesn't really matter to me, but I feel like we should have those more like necessity items, and then like more stuff that fits with the pack. I also feel like, and this goes for the last few packs, like the Sims team can't really make up their mind on what kind of design style they're going with, because this, I ended up learning that this world is inspired by Mexico. So it's got kind of like a Spanish Mexican look to like the homes. But then as you can see here, there's like these high-rise apartments. So we've got this like Spanish influence type style. And then we have this like ultra modern apartment. And they don't mash. They don't mix well. To me, they are very at odds. They don't go together. Kind of leaves me wondering, like, what? Like, they just don't mix. And I kind of feel like that goes for the world itself. Because, like, just looking at what the camera's looking at right now, you have all of these high-rise, fancy, modern apartments, and then you can see right across this, like, up the block is this little Spanish home. And that, like, sticks out like a sore thumb. It doesn't, mix or, like, fit in well with the world. And I just kind of feel like that's how it all is. Like, the park is, you know, kind of that, this is from, like, when the, like, it's like a historical landmark or something. That's what I'm looking for. It's a historical landmark. All cities kind of have that somewhere, that there's, you know, this like older park that's been there for centuries or whatever. But I just feel like the apartments and then the Spanish homes do not mix. The furniture doesn't mix, the world doesn't mix, and like when you're in the neighborhoods, it doesn't, like, take the neighborhood with the lounge, for example. Like, that all looks okay together. Like, it goes together for the most part. But, like, it's just kind of all over the place. Because then we have the other neighborhood with the nightclub. And you have these high-rise, they're not actually apartments. They're apartment buildings with just a single lot on top. So they're not actually apartments. But with these makeshift apartments, these nice, fancy penthouses, and it just doesn't mix, is like the only way I could put it. Oh, it is stormy. I don't know. So the world is pretty, like there's always, like, I'll be honest, I love the park. I think the park is really pretty. But it doesn't match. Just kind of seems at odds with each other. And I did find out that this also these are not EA builds. I was a little harsh on day 2. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, these are just typical EA builds. But I guess, I don't know, I wasn't that impressed with the builds in this pack. And again, I feel like that's kind of mean. But it's unfortunately, that's my opinion, it's how I feel. Nothing against the builders who built for this pack. I don't know that this maybe broadcasted their talent very well. Anyways, so if you were to ask me would I recommend this pack based solely on the build buy in the world, I would tell you no. Give me a second. Sorry, I needed a drink. Okay. Anyways, moving on. So then days 3 and 4 always focus on gameplay. And so day 3, we messed around with Cupid's Corner, which is the new dating app, and I actually think that's a really cute name for a dating app, Cupid's Corner. I like the name, but I guess I had higher hopes for the dating app. I think it would have been really nice if they had kind of mixed the dating app with Social Bunny. Like, I wanted to kind of have the opportunity to maybe like message or text Sims through the dating app, because what you do is you upload a picture of your Sim, and I do appreciate that you can like take different pictures of your Sim, that you can like change the profile pic. You choose from their traits, like which 2 you want to put on your dating profile, which like you can kind of lie by omission there. Like maybe you don't want to broadcast that your Sim is mean-spirited, or I guess it's just mean, or evil, or whatever. But I mean, to basically, you can only scroll through a handful of Sims. You can only refresh it so often, and you can only have so many Sims saved. Like, I don't know. I had a bit higher of an expectation for Cupid's Corner, especially with that being like a really big part of the pack and like kind of the draw of the pack. They put a lot of emphasis on Cupid's Corner, and it, in my opinion, was a pretty big letdown. I just had such high expectations, and the app itself did not meet those expectations. But we went on a date with a sim that we like that had turn-on traits. We went on a date with a sim that had turn-off traits. We went on a date with a sim that had a turn-off and a turn-on trait. We went on a blind date, and they all pretty much went the same. I didn't have one date go a whole lot better than another. They were very similar, and that brings me kind of to my next point, because we did all these dates, and I was hoping for more, and I just kind of felt like there wasn't a whole lot there. That the dating, in my opinion, is still just too similar to what we already have, and you can still take your Sims on like the original regular dates without doing the new dates here, but like it's still the same point. It's still doing the same thing. So like if you went on a regular date without the pack, or choosing not to use the pack's dates, you go to a lot and you socialize, and you have to flirt with your date so many times and become flirty and become playful, and like if you go to a restaurant you have to talk about the meal or something, but it's like the same kind of points that you have to, or goals that you have to work towards every time. With the pack, you get to choose like where the date is, if it's a get to know you date, a romantic date, or a like relationship repair date. And I didn't get to do a relationship repair date. I probably could have, because I broke up with like 5 Sims, but I didn't. But you get to choose the kind of date, you get to choose where you're going, and then you get to choose from like a pretty long list of different things you want to do on the date. Fish, skate, dance, be flirty, be mean, woohoo, like a whole bunch of stuff. But the thing is, once the date starts, it is asking you to do the same, however many things you picked, over and over again. Like to me, it's extremely repetitive. And I was really hoping that this would really spice things up, really freshen things up, that it wouldn't just be the same kind of date that we already had, just with more topics to talk about, basically. Because that's how it feels, at least to me. I just felt like I was, again, had higher expectations, was expecting a lot more of a refresh, doing, like, really redoing how dates are done, bringing something new and different to the table, and they didn't quite deliver, because it just feels so much like what we already had, which left me pretty disappointed. So, yeah, so that was day 3. Day 4, I really wanted to focus on trying to achieve, I wanted to woohoo in the, technically there's 3 woohoo spots, but if you want to count the vibrating bed, I guess you could say 4, but it's still just a bed woohoo. So, there's a picnic blanket, there's the motel, and then there's the, like, storage closet, or service closet, or whatever it's called. And I wanted to do this, like, use all 3 of those. I wanted to try woohoo on the vibrating bed. And then I also wanted to try to achieve one of the death types. So, doing the woohoos, super easy. Not an issue, not a problem. Then I was like, okay, so one of the, like, there's 2 death types: death by a broken heart, or death by choking, by, like, trying to, like, eat your sorrows away with the boxes of chocolates that you can get, or, like, chocolate covered strawberries or whatever. And so I really wanted to try and get one of those 2 death types. So what I did, like, because Amora had, like, 4 or 5 romantic, like, partners at once, and so I just had her invite them over back to back and break up with all of them, thinking that that would make her sad enough, that would trigger kind of the, watch out, she's getting, like, She needs to start basically making better romantic decisions. That didn't happen. She got very sad, and so then I had her start eating the chocolates, thinking, well, maybe she'll still choke on them. She didn't. And I know that it's not supposed to be one of those things that it's like, the deaths are not supposed to be easy to come by. Like, not, like, you really have to try for these two death types. But it was really frustrating trying to get her to that point. And then, like, I paused recording, and I just had her go on bad date after, like, and these were all blind dates. Like, bad date after bad date after bad date. And it still wasn't doing anything. And so I finally just gave up. I was like, nope. I'm over it. I'm done. So, the death types are, in my opinion, very difficult to get, which I suppose is a good thing, but when you want to see them, then it's not so much a good thing. There's also a new career. You can be a relationship counselor or a matchmaker, which, again, really makes me think I should have tried to recreate Kitty Powers in The Sims 4 from Kitty Powers Matchmaker. I played over on my gaming channel every once in a while if you're wanting to check out what that game is. But I had Amora start it, and it's a pretty solid career, I guess. I didn't get very far in it. But I'm always down for a new career because I get really tired of the same careers all the time. She also, what was the other thing? Romance skill. There's a romance skill. I don't see the point of the romance skill. To be completely honest with you, I don't understand the point, but okay. There's the satisfaction bar, which I don't fully understand how that worked because the satisfaction only changed after her dates. And, like, I guess I kind of thought it was something that would just continue to increase or decrease depending on how the date itself was going. Like, it would rise or lower, like, according to pretty much every interaction of the date, and it didn't. So, yeah. So, those are days 3 and 4, my gameplay days. And then, that brings us back to day 5. I will say, like, between the base game update and, like, all the different, like, new romance features added to this game, there is a lot now to do with the romance relationships. Like, an overwhelming amount of things. Like, if you asked a sim what their turn-ons or turn-offs are, they will give you an entire list of, like, 20-something items. And I'm like, you expect me to remember all of that? No. So it's a lot trying to keep up with both sims, remembering what their turn-offs and turn-offs, turn-on and turn-offs are, and just all these different aspects. Like, it's a lot, and it can be really overwhelming, but then at the same time, I feel like this pack was really lacking. And I've felt this way since the first trailer for the pack released, that I don't think that this looks like enough content to be an expansion pack. And I was trying to keep an open mind as I was playing, but basically that's how it ended up feeling, that this did not feel like an expansion pack. This felt like very much like a game pack. And maybe it's because a lot of the stuff added were rather small. They weren't like super big game-changing features that I guess I'm kind of used to with expansion packs. Not Tiny Living. What's the last one called? Oh my gosh. For Rent. My goodness. For Rent introduced the ability to, like, basically make your own apartments, to be landlord, whatever. Horse Ranch brought horses. Cottage Living, you live on a farm. Growing Together introduced, like, a new family dynamic system. And they basically brought that family dynamic system into this pack just on the relationship side. But, like, it just didn't feel as major. Didn't feel as life-changing. Nothing in this pack felt big enough to warrant an expansion pack. Everything to me did not meet expectation. It all fell short. They just put so much emphasis on the app. The app is kind of pointless to, like, I'll still probably end up using it, but I was expecting so much more from the dating app. Kind of fell short. The app, or the dates, was expecting something new, fresh. It's the same thing, just extra stuff to talk about. None of it, for me, and I don't think I had very high expectations of the pack to begin with, because my expectations for Sims packs, after the hot mess express that was my wedding stories, my expectations for the packs have gone down. And granted, this pack has not played poorly, for any kind of like broken issues, lag, any of that. Like, this hasn't been a broken pack. But I also feel like we've reached the point in The Sims 4 where they're just kind of pulling random pack ideas out of thin air. And like, maybe this is something that, like, I know that the dating app itself has been something that Simmers have been talking about for quite a while. I've wanted it for a while, but I didn't feel like it's enough for an expansion pack. And that's how I feel a lot of the packs have kind of gotten to lately, that now we're getting out, we're moving further and further away from stuff that is more necessity and more into kind of just like the random stuff. I don't know. I've been so negative for this pack. I promise I'm not going out of my way to be like, this pack sucks, oh, I hate this pack, or everything about it. That's not what I'm trying to do. I promise. But I just felt like it was a letdown in so many ways, and nothing, like, I felt like it was one of those things that the trailer really made things out to be better or cooler or more, again, game-changing than they really were. And I felt very let down with a lot of the supposedly big features of this pack. They didn't feel like big features. They were a lot of small features. And I guess if you want to put all the small features together, it could be like, oh, this is a big thing, but it's not. It's not. And I don't feel like, I guess it's been a thing that there's an actual, like, argument over whether packs anymore are worth being called expansion or game packs. But when I say expansion pack, what I'm thinking of is it being worth $40. And this, I cannot, in what's the phrase I'm looking for, in like good faith, say that this pack is worth $40, because in no way, shape, or form is it. It's not. I would 100% wait for this pack to go on sale. It needs to go on sale. Do not buy this for $40. It is not worth $40. Like, it's just not. It's not. And that's pretty disappointing. But I don't know. So that's where I stand. And I'd love to know down in the comments how you guys feel. If you agree with me, or if you disagree, that you're like, oh my god, no, Kate, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and you are off your wagon. Okay. Your opinion, I'm glad that you enjoy it. I don't, this was not worth $40. This was not worth $40. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'd wait for it to go on sale. I would not get this for full price. There's just, no. No. That's all I can tell you is no. Just don't. So, yeah. I'll leave this there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I have my gaming channel and my Twitter, both linked down in the description below. If you'd like to check either of those things out, I'd greatly appreciate it. Are you trying to take up all my foot room, Zoe? Anyways, thank you guys, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys. Oh, guys. Bye, guys.